Welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. This is a sequel episode. Everybody loves a sequel, right? Sequels are always better than the original. No, I actually am more excited about this one. We've got more stuff to talk about, I think. This is a follow-up to the episode we did on our Canadian CBS cassettes that were yellow in color on the J card and in many cases on the cassette itself. And I've got the same lineup, as it were. We've got Chris Preston from My Rock and Roll Heaven. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys.
And of course, we've got Jex Russell from you name it. Name a YouTube channel. He's there.
From everywhere.
He's there.
Long time no see, guys. Long time no see. What a coincidence. We're all wearing the same stuff that we did in the previous episode.
That's amazing. What sorcery is this? So on this episode, what we're doing is talking about this is a direct follow-up from that CBS yellow cassette episode, because in 1983, CBS cassettes in Canada started to very drastically change their look. And Chris was kind enough to actually look up a couple of articles on it. We'll get him to share the first one before we get started.
Yeah, so gotta love the internet. I used to buy these publications back in the day, like Billboard and RPM, when I was a kid, because again, I was a chart nut and I geeked out over that stuff. But I did a little research and actually found two articles. The first from RPM, March 3rd, 1984. If you can see right there. And I won't read the whole thing, but I'll give you the highlight. So there we go. So this came out with CBS Records Canada announcing that they are going to be the first label in the country to introduce chromium dioxide on all of their regular pre-recorded cassette tapes at no extra cost, right? So just quickly, the reason that they did this was the president or vice president of CBS says chromium dioxide tape makes a difference you can hear, and the latest computerized recording techniques bring you a faithful reproduction of the original master. So then this is the cool part, guys. It actually talks about the changes that they made. So the new cassettes have the artist name and album highlighted in red ink on white background, CrO2 and chromium dioxide identification on the label graphics, full tune listing on front graphic for proper merchandising in single window long boxes. Remember those? Black through type cassette cartridge with gold printing, playback directions for the consumer on both the outside and inside panels, complete tune stacking, timing, writer, and production credits on the inside panel, the latter of which will be on all new releases and top sellers only. So we'll see of those specs what actually they ended up being on some of the ones we've got, because I'm looking back going, wait a minute, some of these I know for a fact don't have what they're talking about here. So there's the history. So CBS was the first in Canada to make the move to what they say is about. Guys, I think they sound good. I mean, I still listen to these. I play them, and whether or not they're better than others, I don't know. But
they definitely sound better than those yellow ones.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
They tend to have, I find they tend to last a little better. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the CrO2 cassettes, aren't they the ones where you put it? I love the fact that they have to put playback directions on them.
I know, right?
Wow. Okay. But those, you playback, press play. Do you not hear? You hear a tone that goes up. There's different ones for different labels, but I think the CrO2 was just the one continuous.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And then the music would start. Again, when I was a kid, I thought that was part of. Why do all these first songs on albums have that?
Weird, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go with Chris's pile first. We'll split them up into 3 piles based on serial number. Some interesting things with the serial numbers too. We'll get to that in a second. So, Chris, take it away. I'm so looking forward to what we all have here, because these are pretty common tapes. Like, you grew up in the 80s in Canada buying cassette tapes, inevitably you'd end up with a bunch of these.
Yeah, 100%. And I've got a lot of them. First off, kicking off, we've seen this already. Somebody had a copy of this, but I've now got the reissued one. So they went back, CBS Records went back and reissued, right, these classics on chromium dioxide. I would love to. So I actually have another one that I've got both. I'm going to play them later and see what the sound is like. And switch to the black, right?
Right.
Now, the funny thing is, so in that article I just read, they said gold lettering.
I think the first round of them were gold. So, I mean, an album like that Boston debut, that would have been reissued so many times. I've seen copies that look like your J card, but they're clear colored cassettes. So,
right,
yeah, it just would have been. It sold so many copies.
So that's the first one. Classic.
Yeah,
I love these cassettes. They just look so good.
Oh man, that's like the best. That got me into early Aerosmith. That compilation.
Me too. I went back after Primitive Vacation and bought this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did because I mean that album started selling. It eventually went diamond.
Yes, exactly.
So Jex has a what must be
a
later version of that.
$3.
Yeah, mine is not a. Yeah, yeah, $3. But see, mine's not a chromium dioxide. See.
Now I wonder, is that US?
Nope, that's Canadian. That's a Canadian one for sure. But I think the difference is it's a later one. Is it a clear colored cassette, Jex?
Not even black.
So around 89, 90 is when you stopped seeing these. So I think that must have been a slightly later issue.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta have some Aussie. Diary of a Madman.
Now that one would have originally come out as a yellow.
Exactly.
Yellow cassette. Yeah.
On
Jet.
Yep.
Which is a little different. So basically you had Aussie and you had ELO on Jet as far as like really popular.
That's right. So we're still yet on, obviously what CBS did on the reissues was because, right, we're in this situation. So there's the details on what they did with CRO2. And this always confused me. So this is chromium dioxide, but it says for best results, play in normal. You don't switch it to the chrome setting, right? Because
maybe when you switched it to the chromium dioxide, if you had an older cassette, it compensated.
Yeah, I never understood what that was.
It does seem counterintuitive, but
right.
Also, the funny thing, like the whole CRO2, so used to seeing those on cassettes. I almost failed chemistry class, guys. I'll be honest with you. In grade 11, when you're supposed to form the equations, the only one I knew for sure was chromium dioxide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think everyone's got a copy of this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to have Born in the USA. So again,
by the time that would have come out, there would have been no yellow variant of it.
No.
Right. Now, this one, obviously being a big seller, look what it's got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got that in my stocking for Christmas, I think, 1985. Like that.
I think everybody had this one.
Yeah.
But so here's just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Right. So there
is a slightly later issue of it.
So so this one.
Oh, it's got the full
and clear.
Yeah.
Again, so just to show you what the different variations were, right?
Which brings to mind, do you actually even call that a J card or is it a C card?
That's a good point.
Never thought of that.
We saw this one before.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one I had.
The Loverboys Keep It Up reissued, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's got the embossed as well. And on this one, they did include, like we saw earlier, the full.
On the earlier, the earlier episode we did, everyone watch. If you haven't seen it, you should probably go back and watch it before you watch this. But there was actually, I was wrong. I wouldn't have thought that any of those yellow CBS tapes would ever have credits in them, but this one does.
Exactly.
It's also the only album, like on the vinyl version, it's the only one that I've ever seen that comes with an interview.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
An interview with Paul Dean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, again, Loverboy was so massive, right?
Yeah. They never even reprinted that in the CD.
No, very strange, very unusual. Another massive album.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my favorites when I was
I think almost every song on that was a single, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is a giant album. So this one they did a little bit differently with the song.
Okay, yeah, we're going to start to see that a lot.
Yeah.
The song titles and the timings and a little bit of production credits.
And this one, it's you can't look at that. There's nothing left on it. It's so worn out.
Yeah. Now, does that have the gold in the middle? Does that have the gold?
So I think it was gold lettering. It's one of the gold lettering ones, yes, but it's pretty much worn off because it's been played so much. And ignore the fact it's in a WIA.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta, yeah.
So I was lucky enough with a bunch of these. I found a guy on was it eBay, I think, a couple of years ago, who worked for CBS Records Canada. And I bought a bunch of stuff from him, still sealed. So you're going to see a whole pile.
We may have to talk after this, Chris, because I want to talk to this guy. I want to get him on.
I'll have to try and find him. So the first one is Ozzy's "Bark at the Moon."
But nice price.
Yep, nice price.
Or for our French speaking friends, Joli Prix.
A joli prix, yes. And there
Or
it is
when,
right
of course, when we were kids, it's all like Jolly Pricks.
Another one that,
like like Grand Prix Wrestling.
So that's the first of the sealed ones I got from this guy. This one is next, Scandal.
Nice, yeah.
Warrior, which quite honestly, I don't think I've listened to any of the other songs on this album.
Chris, don't they do Only the Young on that?
The
Journey song?
Tim. Yes, they do.
I've never heard their version of it, but it actually came out before the Journey version did.
I'm listening to it today after this call.
I mean, as far as like 80s radio rock songs, it's pretty tough to beat the Warrior. It's
you can't beat
great.
So there's the first example of what CBS talked about.
Yeah.
Gold lettering. Right? So
that's cool.
That's another one. And my first of the Judas Priest albums. Defenders of the Faith, right? Great album.
That front cover always reminded me of Voltron.
Yeah. I see it.
So I find this interesting. They have the writing credits for most of the songs, except not the first three.
Would that be because the first four songs on there were all the same writing? They're all the same authors?
I guess, but if you look further down, even like the ones below it are the same as, I don't know. Anyways, I just found that interesting.
That's just my guess. They might have had like three that were all written by the same people and they didn't have to break them up. But so that's obviously from its era, the way that the printing is done on there. The way that the letters in Judas Priest are spaced out is kind of marks it as maybe an original of its time from 84.
You know what? I have to say the gold gave it kind of a little bit of a higher end feel almost, right?
Yeah.
And there's
getting off topic. Do you remember Bryan Adams' Reckless came out for a while with a copy where instead of the red lettering was in gold?
Yes, it did. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here's my first soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
One of the biggest of the 80s, of course, Footloose.
Yeah.
Great movie. Right?
Yeah.
And it has the gold as well.
Yeah. Very popular.
And on the J card. So we know now that CBS is featuring at least song titles and writing credits on their J cards. Another great one from 1984, Steve Perry's Street Talk. His first solo album. And all of the cases, I'm pretty sure at this point we're doing
from here on in. Yeah.
Yeah. The CBS logo doesn't have the gold, it's white, but does have the songwriting credits and song titles and times. And of course, as well, all of these have that, the production standards written in them.
Yes.
Condition Critical. Good album. You know what? I actually prefer this, I think, to Metal Health overall, but it didn't do as well.
Well, it's one of those albums they'd say, oh, yeah, it was a commercial failure. It still sold 1 million copies.
Exactly.
It just didn't sell 6 million like Metal Health.
Gold lettering, and same thing again with the song titles and the times. Another sealed one, and I've got a fair number of these. So this is from the gentleman who used to work for CBS. Vital Signs by Survivor.
on.
This is one of my all-time favorite albums,
It's great. Yeah.
and I think one of the best melodic rock albums of all time. Like, this
I
is
mean,
brilliant with Jimmy
Jimmy
Jameson.
Jameson could pretty much sing anything.
Yep.
And make it sound good.
One of the best voices
he was
of all time.
so good. Yeah.
Absolute. Oh, shame we lost him so early, but
I only have one in this pile, and it's been shown already. Bark at the Moon.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne. I do want to say one thing I've always noticed about this edition is that instead of the usual font, you actually get his logo on the
personalized,
side.
yeah.
That's
cool.
right. Yep, mine does
Personal.
too.
Every once in a while, you'd see that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not very many.
Yeah, it's one of the, right. It's one of the few that I have like that, and I only have one that I'll be showing later that's not white. Usually, it's always white, and I have one that's different. But that's for my second pile.
Right on. Okay, so we'll go to my first, and the first four I have to show here are, I guess, kind of a subset. The guys showed off some of these in our previous episode on the yellow because they are 70s based, but mine are really, really white looking, and they say chromium dioxide on them. So I'm going to start with Aerosmith Toys in the Attic. So this would have been an 80s era reissue. So I've noticed that the 70s ones don't have the red.
Right.
They don't say anything on here, but over here it says they have written CrO2 chromium dioxide.
Oh, yeah. I have one that's like that as well. I didn't notice. My stained glass.
Your stained glass, yeah. And what I like about the Toys in the Attic one, it looks like they preserved the original writing style.
Yep, they did.
That's a little bit different font on there, and the tape itself is ridged. So, yeah, now I'll get to that in a second. This is one that I think this is the one that kicked everything off with our Yellow Cassettes episode, courtesy of Chris. This is Rocks from '76. This is a later Canadian issue. Mine's in a clear case, but I don't think it would have been originally. And it's got the chromium dioxide written like that. And the cassette is pretty faded.
I wonder when that issue came out, when they were doing that. Wonder when that was.
Well, I know a little bit about that. See, I guess I'll talk about it here. On our last episode, I mentioned that when you showed off your Michael Jackson Thriller cassette, I said that was an album that kind of taught me a little bit about reissues. So the copy that we had in our house was like yours. It was the yellow with red lettering on the side. And I remember visiting a cousin of mine who had it. And by the time that he got it, it was white with the chromium dioxide. So I'm like, okay, it's similar, but it's different. And that's kind of when I realized, I don't know they were called reissues, but that there were different versions of the same album. Because, at first it's like, why does it look different? But, that's why. And it was that album that really, because I had in my mind's eye, I could compare the two of them. And also I also remember, this is kind of funny. He also had Bruce Springsteen Born to Run that looked exactly like those Aerosmith ones I just showed off. And I'm pretty sure what happened was he asked for it for his birthday or Christmas or something. And he wanted Born in the USA, but they said, oh, it's got Born in the title. Because it was unusual for a kid of his age to have Born to Run.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so I'm guessing it was around that time when they did it is where I'm going with this. So the next one I have to show is Heart, Little Queen, originally from '77. Looks like that. And
fantastic.
There's the cassette. And actually I've got two more, but they're divided by something. Aerosmith Live Bootleg. Another chromium dioxide one. I don't think that's the original cassette it would have come in, but maybe.
Right.
It could have been a combination of old stock and, they still had old J cards, but new cases. Not sure. That's what the cassette itself looks like. Now we have the only one I have from the '70s that looks like it could have come out in the '80s.
Oh, yeah.
Budokan. This is obviously from '78 originally, but it looks like a much later issue.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering if this didn't get reissued like when Lap of Luxury became a hit.
Oh, probably. You're right.
But yet the cassette is in gold lettering, so maybe that blows that theory out of the water. Now I have kind of a weird one. So this came out in 1980. This is from Heart, and it's kind of confusing. It's like half of its greatest hits, half of its live. So it's usually just called greatest
Oh,
hits
right.
live. But this is what it looks like on the side. So it's got red lettering, just as Heart, but it doesn't have the chromium dioxide in red.
Yeah, that's different.
And the cassette is pretty much illegible. Someone was nice enough to write
Side 1 and 2.
and 2. This is a Record Expo rescue. Now the next one is the serial number puts it way down the list. The serial number on this is literally 90697, but I'm including it here because 90697 was the Canadian CBS, the Canadian only CBS numbering system for albums that came out in Canada, either in Canada only or it only came out in CBS in Canada.
Okay.
Jex has seen this cassette before because we did a distortion den on it. Night Ranger Midnight Madness on Epic CBS, which
crazy.
To this day, it's like still weird to me because I'm so used to seeing MCA copies. But in Canada, when this first came out, it was on Epic, but it wasn't using the US numbering system because it didn't come out in Epic in the States.
Right.
So it's full on CO2 or CRO2. Yeah. See, there's Jex's MCA.
That's the one I've got. I've got that.
And the other thing is that now this one's obviously from its gold lettering. It's got the gold in the middle. But I have also seen a yellow copy of this pre-chromium dioxide.
Oh, interesting.
And I've also seen a yellow copy of Dawn Patrol, which came out in Canada on Boardwalk, but distributed by CBS. So it looks like a CBS cassette. I don't have that one anymore, but yeah, that's kind of a curiosity.
Interesting.
And a fantastic album. I've got two more to talk about in this pile, one of which we've already seen. This one we have not. I love this album, Toto Isolation from 84. The lettering's starting to get a little tighter at this point. And
I need to go back and revisit that one.
I think it's got gold lettering on it. It's also got a smaller window, and there's no screws in this tape. Oh, yes, there are. But it's got a smaller window and gold lettering. And this is the first one I think that I've come across that has some credits in it.
Yep.
And there were no lyrics with this record, so. And the last one is we've already seen Steve Perry Street Talk. I think mine might be slightly older than yours, Chris, because it's gold and it's got the whole like gold in the middle of it too.
Yeah, mine's got that right.
And I can tell that as I'm looking at these, I can tell I got to replace some cassettes because I opened this up and it came. Yeah, I broke a tab off it. Okay, so next up, we're going to pick up where we left off. So Chris, take us through your second pile. And this pile that I've got here goes up to 40893.
Yep, I'm on it.
Okay.
Perfect. So another of my sealed finds from CBS, Journeys Raised on Radio. Absolute classic in my opinion. I love this album. So I'm going to assume that this has full lyrics and credits and everything on the J card.
Everyone I've ever seen does.
Yeah, exactly. But
not that I don't have it or anything.
Exactly. But a great album. Another sealed copy. Loverboys love
cool.
Every minute of it.
Yes.
So never opened this one. This is another great Loverboy album. Title track written by Mutt Lange.
Mutt Lange. And if you listen to it, it could totally be a Def Leppard song.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. 100%.
Or for that matter, it could be a Shania Twain song.
That's true.
All depends on the treatment. Now, you brought up an interesting point. And this is where I talked about how the serial numbers were chronological to a point.
Yep.
Journey Raised on Radio came out in April of 1986.
There you go.
Loving Every Minute of It, I believe, came out in August of 1985.
You are correct.
But Raised on Radio came 3 years after Frontiers. That's a long time in the 80s. I think that CBS had this album slated to be released much sooner.
Oh, good
probably
point.
midsummer 85 or maybe even prior to that.
Yep.
But it got pushed back and pushed back. That's why occasionally you'll see serial numbers that what am I trying to say? That make it You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems like it should have come out earlier than it did.
No, that makes total sense.
I was told there would be no math, and the math ain't mathing. So,
Math, they never mathing on Saturday morning.
no.
Another sealed one. Although no
Oh,
which.
yeah.
Great album. What a talented guy. Like, man.
I'm glad he's back making new music.
Exactly. And that's obviously you can't see it very well, but it's that embossed side.
The shame that album tanked. It didn't do very well.
No, it bombed completely.
And then he didn't. Then he disappeared for 6 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't sealed, but a fantastic album. So sad that two of these guys are no longer with us.
I know. Yeah.
And this is there we go.
Okay.
We started to change to full J card.
Yeah, it still has the CR02 on it.
Yes. And
very transitional. Oh, wow. Okay,
clear.
So I didn't think those two things coexisted.
Right?
This is so cool. This is why we do these, guys.
Yeah.
This is why we do these episodes.
So that's the first we've seen with the full J card and the clear cassette.
Oh, the Bangles.
I was a big Bangles fan. Susanna Hoffs. Well, we don't need to go any further. This is kind of their. Well, this is their absolute breakthrough, right? Manic Mondays.
I think it was their second album.
Yeah, second album. Yeah. And it's got the CBS sticker now.
Yeah,
because these are clear cassette cases. But look at this. This is interesting. Nada.
Blank.
You know, okay, so when that album came out, they were, I guess you could say, unproven.
Exactly.
So I don't think maybe they didn't realize how big that album was going to break, and it did.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. I love this. I love this album. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits.
Oh, yeah.
1 and 2. I've been looking for this on vinyl. It's surprisingly, I'm having a hard time finding it.
I think it's because it's a double.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the nice thing about cassettes. You could fit those long releases on one tape. And boy, is that ever, I mean, it might sound pretentious to say Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2, but look at all the songs.
Look at all the songs.
Know them. You know
every
them.
song. And this is the original with the gold lettering.
Yeah.
And they even did a little bit of info with the songs.
And even the two new songs on that were good.
Yeah, but look at this, guys. Look at the runtime. 42 minutes on side 1, 44 minutes on side 2.
Yeah. Hold the cassette up again. Let's see how much tape is on the spool there.
There's a lot of tape.
It's pretty full. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you said, Tim. A lot of great double albums on cassettes, right?
Yeah. Because they could.
Not sure why I own this, but I do. I was never a big fan. Miami Sound Machine. Come on, let's do the conga.
You know, it's funny. My wife and I were talking about that. She started out doing fun, upbeat songs like that, and then everything she put out was a ballad.
Yep, she turned to like soft rock.
But conga, Rhythm Is Gonna Get You, Bad Boy. That's the fun pop stuff with it.
Exactly, fun album. But anyways, the album that introduced me to this band. Turbo. And I think, quite honestly, still my favorite Judas Priest album.
That's an unpopular opinion, right?
I know. I was just going to say that's a very unpopular. This is the album that divided the old hardcore fans who said they went all like, oh, synthesizers and guitar synths and all the rest of it. And there's the song titles and credits. But it's a stellar. I wish I could have seen that tour, the Fuel for Life tour, because Rob Halford was sober. Europe, The Final Countdown.
Their first album, everybody used to say. When
I thought it was their first.
Grade 7, yeah. It's actually the third.
Yeah, it's their third. I played the hell out of this back in the day.
We all did.
I have a hard time listening to it now. I don't think it's aged well at all. That's just me, but yeah.
It's not my favorite, but I still like it. I also want to say it's one of my prized 8 tracks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were talking about Miss Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
This is her album True.
So that's when they're starting to get into using the full rectangular shape for the cover, but they're still going to put the chromium dioxide in.
Yeah. So you'll notice now going forward a bit, I've got a few like that where it's the full.
Yeah, what you're finding, I think, is they're starting to, and all of them all the companies seem to do this. They're starting to look more like their American counterpart
Right.
cassette.
And
Yeah.
Cindy was huge, right? So obviously they've got full credits.
Yeah,
on
she
that.
was coming off that first album, which was like
Massive.
crazy successful. Yeah.
Billy Joel's The Bridge.
Yeah.
Ah,
Now the chromium dioxide looks really good on that one because of the red and blue.
yeah, it really stands out, right?
Yeah.
It's not a bad album, but again, Billy was massive, right? So it's got the full
All
lyrics,
yeah.
credits, everything's on there. Another sealed, I think this is the band I have the most sealed copies of anything. Survivor.
Yeah.
When Seconds
Yeah, this
Count.
one's different because it's black on the side.
Black on the side. There you go.
Yeah.
Scotty Brothers Records.
Yeah.
Great album to follow up Vital
it.
Signs.
That one. I mean, you get to put that one in Vital Signs, and then you put Burning Heart right in the middle of it. Like they were like, they couldn't do any wrong.
Exactly. And Sullivan and Peterick, two of the best songwriters of all time, in my opinion.
Yes, it's a shame that they don't get along anymore.
I know it's a damn shame. Look at this, 2 copies of Bad.
I was going to say, are you holding up one Michael Jackson and one Weird Al?
I don't have the Weird Al, but damn it. So look at a little bit different. Can we guess why it's different, gentlemen?
Is one at Columbia House?
You are correct, sir. And there it is right there.
Yeah.
So there's
It's like Tim. It's like, oh, good, Tim got it right. Meanwhile, people are like, nerd.
Yeah, exactly. I won't open that one up, but it has the full credits in it. And another Miami, where now look at it's now Gloria and Miami Sound Machine, where they're starting to market her
things to come, right?
Yeah. So this one is got The Rhythm Is Gonna Get You on it, which we talked about a bit, and lots of ballads.
It's true. If sooner or later the rhythm is going to get you, just so you know.
Exactly. This one I picked up. This is an original that I owned that I bought because I love Turbo so much. This is Priest live on the Fuel for Life tour.
What a weird album cover, like just brown, like a brown album cover is like.
Yeah, they could have done a better job of that one. I loved when it started to wear from finger and thumbprints, right? Where I've noticed
that's a well played tape.
That's a well played tape. It's a good album. It's got. I love. This is great, right? Because it's got. I'll show you guys this one in detail. They did a great job with this.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's a great shot. That one there reminds me of Kiss, right? The Alive.
Yeah, looks like Alive too.
Yeah, and then on the other side, this is awesome.
Cool.
Action shots.
You guys ever get those tapes that are so hard to fold back up correctly?
Yes, this one's one of them. Yeah, actually.
It's like, you know what? I'm going to put it down and I'll do it later.
One of the biggest albums of the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
George Michael's Faith, right?
Note that I noticed that one and there was another one you held up. They don't have the chromium dioxide down the bottom anymore, but
yes, good point. Yeah, that's right. It was Bad. Bad didn't have the chromium.
Yeah, and it's not in red.
Yeah,
on the side anymore.
No, exactly.
No, okay, hold the side of that up again.
Look what
so
they
now
did
they're using the impact font, like the US ones did.
And this is not the bar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was exclusive to the US. The impact.
Well, again, like at a certain point, they started looking more like the Canadian ones because I think that Raised on Radio and Loving Every Minute of It. I forgot to mention that. I think they use the impact font too, which is very familiar to anyone that's ever bought US CBS cassettes or CDs. Which leads into why we did the CBS box CD episode because they didn't. They just used the plain like Helvetica or whatever.
Right. This is the last one in my second pile that I think one of you will have this.
Yeah, Wild Side. Yeah.
This is a good album.
Yeah. How Love Will Rise Again wasn't a hit. I don't understand. That's a great song.
You know what? I was just going to say, Tim, that is probably one of my favorite Loverboy songs. Yeah. The video is killer, live performance. And I wish they would play it live, but they don't.
And we know that they don't, but now they have been opening their shows with Notorious. So
yeah. I saw them a couple years ago.
Jex and I can recently attest to.
And
True.
it's got, again, Loverboy was huge. This album failed, right? It
went gold. It wasn't their standard platinum.
Yeah.
It,
I think by this point, Loverboy was trying to fit into what was going on at the time, right? With more of the kind of hard rock.
Well, the fact that they had Notorious was like basically a Bon Jovi song, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of veered away from what their strengths were, but I think it's still a good album. So that's the last of my second pile.
Cool. All right, Jex.
All right. This is my biggest pile for this episode. Six titles to show off. This is the band I mentioned. I mentioned this band in the Yellow Spine episode. Here they are again. Accept.
Yeah, that'll hurt. That's such a cool cover. I like that.
I love it. Yeah. Great cover. Great cover.
That's another one that goes really well with the chromium dioxide in red.
Yeah. Oh, gold lettering.
I agree. Yeah. Blue and the red, it all fits.
Love Midnight Mover. Watch the video and you will get ill.
Oh my goodness. They almost need like a trigger warning now.
Have you not seen the video, Jex?
I have not. No.
Okay, go watch
it. Goodness. It's like, okay, Jex, blink really fast and move. It's like, what do they call it, Chris? Bullet time or there's an expression for that style of cinematography, but yeah, it's
so don't watch if you have epilepsy, basically.
Absolutely. No, seriously, like it's
it's off the charts. Like
okay. Keeping Up with the Metal, Ozzy, Ultimate Sin. One of the first Ozzy tapes I had picked up.
So this is interesting too. Now it's not Jet anymore. It's CBS Associated.
Yeah.
So was Jet no longer his label?
Well, see, Jet was
they got swallowed
up. What is his name? Sharon's father.
Oh, Don
Arden.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think there was some disagreements there, but I think maybe they switched distributors. At least in Canada, because if you look at ELO tapes from the same time period, at a certain point they're not Jet anymore. CBS Associated, even Kansas on Drastic Measures and the Best of, it's not Kirshner Records anymore. It's CBS Associated. So it's basically that became like a catch-all for like, well, we don't know we're not going to put them on Columbia or Epic. Let's just put them on this.
Right.
All right, Cyndi Lauper returns. No, this is not an album. This is not an album of hers, but it's a soundtrack.
I know which one this is.
Good enough for you?
Yeah.
Very good enough for me. The Goonies.
Some Mario Speedwagon on there.
Yeah, I haven't looked at this in years. What else is on here? The Goon Squad, Tina Marie, Bangles.
Oh, Bangles.
Yeah, there you go. I Got Nothing is the name of the song by the Bangles. REO Speedwagon does Wherever You're Going, It's All Right. Luther Vandross.
All CBS artists, right?
Right. Yeah. So
usually,
with one of the most epic videos of the 80s, The Goonies Are Good Enough.
Didn't they have to do it in 2 parts?
Yeah, it was so long with all the wrestlers and
really.
Yeah, go watch that one too, Jack.
Gotta go back.
There's 2 different versions of the video. One's a sequel to the other, so you got to watch them both. I'm sure they must both be on YouTube. But that was an event back then. It's like the second art is coming up.
Well, I have the DVD of the Goonies, and I thought that the music video was on there, but I could be mistaken. So I'll have to go on YouTube. We've seen this one.
Yeah.
Favorite album, Turbo, which I love it. It's not my favorite, but I do think it's a good album. And between this video and our Yellow Spine video, I'm showing off basically all of my Priest tapes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
With the exception of Rockarola, because that one's on Attic. And my version of Defenders of the Faith is not like Chris's. It's just a later reissue. It's not CRO2. It's not yellow. So I had to leave that one behind.
I don't care what anyone says. I love the guitar synths on that. So there you go.
There's nothing wrong with them for sure. This is kind of an oddity because it was not a successful film. This is another soundtrack. It's called Light of Day.
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah. Remember? Yeah. And Joan Jett.
Yeah, I actually remember seeing that movie.
Very forgettable.
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's funny, when I saw Joan Jett in concert opening for Def Leppard, I think in 2000, I think that was like the first or second song. We were still walking into the Aiken Center in Fredericton. I remember thinking, why do I know this song? I forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's actually a Springsteen song.
Oh.
Light of Day?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah,
And
I
it's
had
with Bon
the movie at
Jovi,
one
Only
point. I had
Lonely, which is weird. How that ended up on there
yes.
from 7,800 Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
random. Not even
yeah,
CBS, right?
No.
I
right.
knew Jex would come through with some
Yeah.
soundtracks.
Love a good
Yeah, this
80s
is my second
soundtrack.
of 3 soundtracks. Yeah, I don't remember the movie. I used to have it on VHS. I don't remember much of it. I do remember Michael McKean being in it because
Yeah, from
I
Spinal
know
Tap.
him.
Yeah. Well, they were
Exactly.
Joan Jett, Michael J. Fox. They were brother and sister in this movie, right?
Yeah.
And they were in
Yeah.
a band. And I think the
Oh, the
band was
Bar
called
Busters.
the Bar Busters. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is my final one for this round. We've seen it again, courtesy of Chris. Chris Live.
Yeah.
And this is the one copy. This is the one tape I have that I was saying that's not white. It's got the brown.
Yes.
But we've seen this one in great detail already, so I won't go through the trouble of folding it out. Chris has kindly done that already.
the
But
deed
yeah,
for
I
us.
like this one a lot.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
that?
great.
He did the deed for us. He did
Great
it, so
line.
you don't have to.
Yeah. And I only learned this from our buddy Mike Ladano, Grab a Stack Rock. If you listen to it on cassette, it's unedited, but the CD version, the original CD version, is edited. They cut out some of the banter. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Probably to fit it on one disc.
Yeah, and then eventually, when they released the remasters, I think in 2001, it was on 2 discs. So that one is
right.
uncut.
That
Yeah.
came out on home video too, didn't it? Or
Yes.
some, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so my pile starts. We've already seen this one, courtesy of Chris. Survivor, Vital Signs, great album. Next one is every once in a while I'll look at the serial numbers and you'll find like one actually comes out one right after the other.
Yep.
This is not a case of that. I'm just saying sometimes you notice that. REO Speedwagon, Wheels Are Turning. Say this is an original. It's got the gold lettering and a smaller window. Oh, and someone actually put tape.
Feeling.
I remember this. People used to put tape, Scotch tape over the song.
I have a few like that too. Yeah, so they wouldn't wear off.
Then you take it off and it's gone.
Yeah.
Feels
We've already seen this one too. Raised on Radio, Journey. So yeah, using the impact font again, and actually the serial number looks a little different here too. That looks more American. So yeah, they're really starting to mirror the American looks of them. Probably exactly the same as one Chris showed. I was very pleasantly surprised that someone else had this Aldo Nova Twitch. I do like this album. I wish there were real drums on it, not drum machines. But I think there's great songs on here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and songs that could have potentially been hits. And this has the gold. I would imagine there was only one pressing of this, because even definitely in Canada it wasn't successful. We've already seen this one too. Final Countdown. Weird for me to see a US version or really any other version of this Canadian one, because this was so popular.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah.
And this one, it's not gold lettering. I don't know if the original was. Maybe they weren't doing it by this point. This album came out in April or May of '86. It was around a long time before. It was like quite a few months before it started to break.
Yeah.
Haven't seen this one yet. Toto Fahrenheit. A little personalization going on up here.
Good Toto album.
And this one actually has band photos and no lyrics but credits. So expanding a little bit. Next one, I'm a little surprised Jex didn't show this one off, but
Ooh.
Aerosmith Classics Live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got Classics Live too, but it's the '93 remastered version. Very faded.
I have Classics Live 2 as well, but it's American.
Yeah, but you've also got the box CD, which is cool, which I do not have.
Yes.
A little bit of credits in here. Here's another one where the serial number puts it in '86, but it didn't come out till '87. REO Speedwagon, Life as We Know It. So obviously it was probably slated to come out sooner, but it wasn't ready. Writing's in real good shape on this, very bright. And just your typical songs, times, and a little tiny bit of credits. The next two we have already seen, so I won't spend a lot of time on them. So Survivor, When Seconds Count, and Loverboy, Wild Side. So yes, when they don't have the chromium dioxide here, it's not in red here. That's something that we've learned today. So
That tip, yep.
So now we've got one more pile, and this will take us to the point sometime in later 1989 when the chromium dioxide seemed to stop.
Yes.
So we'll let Chris go through his next pile.
This is my biggest stack of the three. So I've got quite a interesting mix of albums here. First up, Cheap Trick, Lap of Luxury. Massive.
You've got that coming too, Jex.
Massive thanks to the Flame, obviously. On the white lettering. But again, interesting that, so we're into what, 1988 here.
Yeah.
And pretty basic with just...
But Cheap Trick at this point had released, I don't know how many albums that weren't all that successful.
Yeah, they stunk it up for that.
Yeah.
To that point in the 80s, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So this is an interesting, I don't even remember where I got this. Neil Diamond. Hot August Night 2.
Oh, 2? I didn't know there was a sequel.
Yeah, look at that.
Impact font. What's so it's got Chromium 2 and black, or the CRO2 in black.
Yeah. And this is one of those ones that is it's got some great shots of Neil, but it's his whole live show, right? So it's got you can see by the tape in it, there's a lot of tape in there.
Long album, yeah.
And it tells you one side of this program is of longer duration than the other to preserve the album.
Chris may have set a precedent. That's the first time that a Neil Diamond album has been shown on Tim's Vinyl Confessions.
There you go.
There you go.
It only took 500 episodes almost.
Yeah.
I'm pleased I could do
Neil
that.
Diamond is like Thanos. He's inevitable.
Pretty much, yeah. What's this?
Oh, that's Billy Joel, isn't it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
now, I know who it is. I don't know how to say it. It's Russian, and I think it roughly translates as concert.
There we go.
Okay.
2 record set on 1 cassette, Columbia House issue.
It's live in Leningrad or something like that.
Yeah, this was in, I think, Leningrad.
Do you know this actually came out in 8-track? It's the last Billy Joel album that did.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Credits, nothing fancy in there. I guess that was probably one of the first guys to go play over in the USSR.
Definitely, it wasn't that, it wasn't a common tour stuff, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So soundtracks, 80 soundtracks. This is one of my favorites. Good movie too, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wondered if somebody would have that. I love was it the Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flu by Aerosmith?
Got it. Yep.
Doesn't appear anywhere else, but yeah. And that's also the first place that Poison's version of Rock and Roll All Night appeared.
Exactly. There it is there. This is like, look at the artists on this, right? Poison, Aerosmith, LL Cool J, Roy Orbison, Public Enemy, and probably one of my favorite covers is Hazy Shade of Winter, right? The Bangles version. Yeah. But Bring the Noise on there.
Yeah. Well, that was on Rick Rubin's Def Jam label.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah. And doesn't that have going back to Cali on it? LL Cool J?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
That was
really good.
In-A-Gadda
the Roy Orbison song was written by Glenn Danzig.
You are right. Glenn Danzig with Roy Orbison, Life Fades Away. And yes, you're right. Jack Slayer's In-A-Gadda.
Yeah.
Great soundtrack.
They do a rockin' version of that one.
They do. Another Bangles album. As I said, I was a Bangles fan. This is Everything. And this was kind of their last before things went south, but it's got the big hit Eternal Flame, right? In Your Room is a good track.
Yeah.
And this one, the Bangles were pretty big at this point. So it's got the full lyrics.
Now, this is based on something that I saw on Three Sides of the Coin. Is there not a song on that album co-written by Vinnie Vincent?
What you are? Oh, well, Vinnie Vincent plays 12-string guitar on Make a Play for Her Now. Let's see, did he co-write it? He did, with Vicky Peterson.
How crazy is that? You got who saw that coming?
Especially Vinnie, yeah, man.
He could have had such a great career as a songwriter.
Yeah, if he wasn't. Anyways, we won't go there, but
yeah.
Uh, another sealed cassette.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
The Killer Dwarfs.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Deal.
I don't have any of their cassettes. I don't have anything by them actually.
I've got
Hard-
3 of theirs. So this obviously I haven't opened. I'm not sure if it has full lyrics and the
I
whole
think it
mix in there.
does.
But this is a good Killer Dwarfs album, and they had some U.S. success at that point. So
I think they opened for Iron Maiden on that tour, so they
I
got
think
some
so.
exposure
Yeah,
there.
one of my favorite albums.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
late '80s. And look at what has changed with CBS. See that sticker?
Ah,
The nice price.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's the right
That's a-
price.
Yeah. It's not
something
just-
wasn't making
not
sense.
nice,
I'm like,
but it's not nice, but it's right.
The interesting thing was, so that you would think that sticker would be on the plastic seal, right? It's not. It's directly on the case
Oh,
itself,
that's a fail.
right?
Oh.
So yeah,
That's a great album.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
found a copy of this on vinyl, actually. But
oh,
full credits.
That's another one that is available. Jex as a box. I have seen that as a box CD.
Oh, is it?
right.
Okay.
That would have been at the very end of the
Yeah,
run.
88 was 89 actually. There was another year where they had some, because remember you had like Trash and the Creator album but
Oh, right.
True. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Brittany Fox. There you go.
Ah,
For these
wait
guys,
a minute.
Yeah, funny story about Brittany Fox.
Oh,
There's something that you don't always hear about. What was the song they had? Was it called Long Way to Love?
Long Way to Love. Yep.
That's one of the
Absolutely.
only songs that only got to number 100 on Billboard, on the Billboard Pop Chart.
That's awesome.
It was like at 100 for 1 week.
What an achievement. So you notice on this one, though, this is the orientation, right? Is landscape
Yeah.
on that one.
yeah.
But good, solid glam metal album. So this is my favorite album by this band.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're up out of this world. This is weird. Well, not weird,
That
but
is, I don't know what else they would have done with it.
right.
Oh.
Like,
yeah.
yeah, you couldn't. The way the shot was taken, you couldn't have it. Like, yeah, it's so.
Yeah. They would have
Little
had to
bit
shrink it
strange,
down.
and it's got the full credits and lyrics, etc., and band photos. But this album, I think, is their strongest, and a big step up for me from Final Countdown.
It's interesting. I never thought about it until like more recent years. You listen to that album, which is produced by Ron Nevison,
Yes,
and then you listen to Crazy Nights, and during any of the instrumental passages, it sounds exactly the same. The drums, the guitars, it sounds like they were recorded at the same time.
Ron Nevison has a certain sound.
Yeah, same thing with the Heart albums, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. This one is underrated, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Survivor's Too Hot to Sleep.
Yeah.
Another
It came out and it just died.
It died again. I think a victim of them trying to fit in with kind of what was going on at the time.
Well, I have a theory about that. Let's just Survivor, Loverboy, Toto, REO Speedwagon, all of those bands. Yeah. By the late 80s, they were being overtaken by the harder rock bands. But
exactly.
But the ironic thing is that they influenced most of those bands. I mean,
right.
You just take Loverboy alone, the fact that they had Bruce Fairbairn and Bob Rock. I mean, they made it acceptable for guitar rock to get on mainstream, pop radio. But for a lot of these artists, it's just not their time anymore.
Yeah.
But then time passes and they become this heritage act and they can go out on the road and people still want to hear those songs.
This is a prime example, though, of them trying to fit in.
Yes.
Look at the look.
Yeah, I know. And also they're down with the 3-piece. Like they've got, I know Mickey Curry plays the drums on that album, but they're not a true band anymore at this point, but there's still great songs on there.
Yeah, this is when things started to fracture, obviously, but that look is like, right, that is exactly what was going on.
Yeah. It's like a copy and paste. It's like a copy and paste version of all the hair bands.
Well, and if you look at the photo from Loverboy's Wild Side from a year earlier,
same thing. The hair's teased up a little bit longer,
a little bit glammed up. Yeah. This is a great album.
Oh, nice!
Love this album.
Across that one off.
Yeah, Danger Danger's debut, Naughty Naughty, Bang Bang. So it's got the full J card,
Yeah.
CBS, and on Imagine Entertainment was or
That
Imagine
didn't last
Records.
very long. Yeah.
Didn't last very long.
That little imprint didn't last very long.
Whole lyrics and the whole works. They were a good band, and they've kind of done. Ted Poley's still out there doing stuff, and I think they're actually still around to a degree. But Billy Joel's Stormfront.
Yeah. We're getting to the point where we're almost done with CRO2 because that was like late '89.
Exactly. And this one, of course, everybody bought this because of We Didn't Start the Fire, right?
Yeah.
Which has gone down as one of the worst songs of all time if you talk to some people. Full credits.
Do you know, like this album originally, he wanted Eddie Van Halen to produce it?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on Foreigner because Mick Jones ultimately ended up producing.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Foreigner. And Eddie said, he was tied up, but Mick Jones co-produced 5150.
Right.
So he said, why don't you try Mick Jones? That's how that ended up happening. Yeah.
Gotta have some warrant. Dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich.
Yeah, I've had that one before. Yeah.
And, depending on the rumors, the guitarist didn't play on this.
Like Slamer. Yeah. First two, actually.
Exactly.
First two albums.
And there's the shot of the band, full glam.
Yeah.
The late, great Janny Lane.
Yeah.
Sad that we lost him. Amazing songwriter. Next up. Great album. Voices of Babylon. Really great, solid band. I love the title track on this one. My Paradise is a great one on this one.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that song. That's good.
Yeah, it's a really good album. If you like, kind of that melodic rock. And they had done fairly well, so it's got...
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We've lost what? John Spinks and Tony Lewis, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're the two main guys. Like, it's...
Sad, but...
Yeah.
We're getting old. Everybody's getting old. This I bought after I bought Permanent Vacation. I went back and bought the greatest hits, and this one
Columbia was very, very smart to put that out in '88.
Very smart.
Because I think a lot of people thought it was a brand new album. And Chip Away the Stone, I mean, come on. You can't. That's such a great song.
Yeah, that's my favorite song on Gems is Chip Away the Stone.
But I think it's really well picked. Again, No Surprise. Nobody's
Mama Kin. It's a great kind of almost.
It's a good companion to the greatest hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This album,
filler.
Yeah, exactly. This album, I think everybody's got.
I suppose, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably one of the best-selling greatest hits.
No, I got a copy that doesn't have CRO2 on it.
Of all time.
Looks like this here.
Oh, well, yes.
One of the last ones ever made. I cannot believe it. Anyway.
So cool you got that.
I had to do it.
So cool you got that. So this is obviously, for the person who isn't into Journey, this is obviously your key.
But you know something? I mean, I still to this day, I expect to hear the songs in that order.
I know, right?
I've listened to it so much.
Yeah, me too. I've got it on vinyl, on CD.
Yeah.
Bonham.
Oh, Bonham. Yeah.
Disregard of Timekeeping.
Oh, right.
With Jason Bonham. This is a Columbia House CRC issue. Full J card. Obviously, Jason Bonham, son of John, and Canadian, who is no longer with us.
Yeah, died very young. He was only 41. Daniel
McMaster, who has a great voice.
Yeah.
And this produced by Bob Ezrin.
Yep. That was a successful album. That did well for them.
The beginning with the instrumental Disregard of Timekeeping leading into Wait for You is epic. This one is very annoying because I don't want to peel the sticker off, but
Dangerous Toys,
cool.
Dangerous Toys debut from Zap Trade-In for $4.99.
A good deal, good price, nice price.
Good price. This is a good album, and somebody's done this. Remember we were just talking about tape. There's the Scotch tape over the. This is a solid band, and they. This album was Scared and Sporting a Woody, and Teasing, Pleasing.
Teasing, Pleasing. That was a video I remember seeing a lot.
Yeah, Scared
I
is.
think that album actually went gold. I think it did all right.
It did go gold. There's obviously they were looking for big things.
I need to get a copy.
I
don't have that.
It's a great album. Scared is my favorite song on this one, and the video's pretty cool too. But that's their ode to Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper, yeah.
Yeah. Another fantastic late 80s AOR melodic rock. But again, you can see they're trying to go with the look for what was going on at the time. Neil Sean's got the hair, with Bad English, their self-titled debut. Really good album. It's known for the ballad, or not the, well, yeah, the ballads, Price of Love and When I See You Smile, but there's some good rock stuff on this. And the great Dean Castronovo on drums, who
so this band managed to be 3/5 the Babies and also 3/5 Journey at the same time.
Yeah, crazy.
Dean Castronovo would go on to be in Journey.
Second, Boys in Heat from Britney Fox, their second album. Didn't do as well as the first, and this was the last with Dizzy Dean Davidson on lead vocals.
That's the one, they do Hair of the Dog on there, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
But
what was the band? Dizzy Dean, he went on to go form another band. What was it?
Weren't they called Black Eyed Susan?
Yes, correct. I have that cassette, actually.
Yep. That's what it was, yeah.
This is a really substantial J card with even got, this is cool. You don't see this a ton. You can see that. Hold on.
What's that?
Oh, all of the
equipment.
Yeah, the logos of all their equipment.
Yeah, you see that in Hysteria has that.
Yeah, Hysteria has that, but it's kind of cool, anyways. If you're into that kind of stuff.
The third Britney Fox album is pretty good.
Yeah, I've got that one on.
Down Hard. They had Tommy Paris and vocals. Sounds nothing like Dean, but it's still a pretty good album.
Completely different. This is Greatest Hits of one of my favorite bands, Survivor's Greatest Hits. This is the first version of Greatest Hits that they put out. There was another one later. Yeah. But this has, again, for someone who's not not gotten into Survivor,
can't go wrong with the tracks they picked on there.
This is pretty much the.
I do like the '93 version because they put Moment of Truth from Karate Kid and they put Somewhere in America and the two new songs were okay too.
Yeah, but look at the songs on this. I kind of don't
High
like
on You, I Can't Hold Back, Search Is Over, Is This Love? I love Poor Man's Son.
And that's the song I think that Sylvester Stallone heard and was like, I need them for my...
I need this band to write a... And I didn't realize this for the longest time. The riff of Eye of the Tiger was supposed to be mimicking Punches.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun,
exactly.
Dun.
Sly wanted to use a Queen song, right?
Yeah, he wanted to use another one, Bites the Dust.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it, so Survivor stepped in. And lo and behold, what happened? So this is my last one that doesn't fit in. This is to your point, Tim, about the catalog number. So this is a sealed copy of Gallon's Strange Animal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which I love this album.
Now that album did come out in the States. I didn't know that.
Oh, did it?
It's got a U.S. catalog number on it, but this would, of course, be the Canadian.
So
and this was a big album in Canada. It was it's personalized on the side.
But look at that number. This came out in what, 85? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a catalog number, which doesn't fit in with obviously any of the ones.
Yeah, it's like the Night Ranger one. It's the same idea.
But this, fantastic. And he's such a great, if you haven't seen him live like recently with Styx or on his own, man, what a talent.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the last of my CBS CRO2 cassettes.
Cool.
All right.
A lot.
So we're down to my prior. This is a short one for me because I only have 3 to show, and they've all been shown. Chris showed off all of these. So it's going to be a short turn for me. This is all familiar ground. My last soundtrack, Less Than Zero, which is it is a great movie. I'll have to watch it again. It's been years.
It is. It's really good.
It's Robert Downey Jr., isn't it?
Yeah, and Andrew McCarthy.
Right. The Brat Pack. Huh?
The Brat Pack, exactly.
Brat Pack movie.
This one I actually forgot until I saw Chris show it off. I'm like, I gotta go grab mine. Luckily, it was right over here. Britney Fox debut. with the impact font.
Yeah.
And lastly, one of my favorite compilations from this band,
Yeah.
Gems.
Yeah.
It is, to your
I
point, like
love this.
they were so brilliant in going back and putting out those classics live 2, Gems, greatest hits.
Yeah.
Like, what a brilliant marketing move, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, they knew what they were doing. Okay. I just wanted to check my Classics Live 2 in case, but it's not a CRO 2.
So
yeah,
I've got 10 cassettes in my final pile here, most of which we've seen. There are 3 that we haven't.
Ooh.
The first one is such an oddball one. I have talked about it before. Serial number wise doesn't fit anywhere. Serial number is 22023. So first I'm going to show you what it looks like on the side. You might think, oh, it's a reissue of the first Journey album. But no, it's not. It's this.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I've seen that before.
It's a series that CBS in Canada did with certain artists, and it's called Foreplay.
And that's a shot. That's the Raised on Radio shot.
That's the Raised on Radio. This has a copyright date of 1987 on it. I should have gotten this out real quick, guys. I want to grab something for you.
I've never seen the Foreplay.
It's very, very strange. I have seen
vinyl.
these with there are other artists you can look on Discogs and find some that look like this. But so I found this at my Sam the Record Man in early 1990, and it was like $5.99. I'm like, well, I have to get this. It's so strange. This has 4 songs on it, as the title would suggest. It's got Love and Touch and Squeezing, The Party's Over on side 1. Side 2 has Separate Ways and Faithfully.
What a
few years back, at Spin It, I came across this, which is not the same.
That's what I'm going to bring up.
Different songs.
It's got different songs. It's got Who's Crying Now, Don't Stop Believing, Open Arms, and Any Way You Want It. And it's got like an Escape era photo.
That's awesome.
Very, very strange. So yeah, it's a chromium dioxide cassette, so it makes sense to talk about. So what I'm saying is there's a vinyl version of this that I need and a cassette version of this that I need. Very strange. So yeah.
So do we know how many artists did they do that for with Foreplay?
I've seen ones with Michael Jackson. I've seen REO Speedwagon. I've seen Platinum Blonde. I've seen those country ones too. Like if you go on Discogs and type in the number 4 play and just see what it brings you, you'll see a few of these.
Okay.
Very strange. Another one that we haven't seen is Toto, the 7th One.
Oh yeah, yep. New vocalist.
Actually, this is the second time around for Joseph, son of John Williams.
Oh yes, right. Second, yeah.
Yeah, he was on Fahrenheit too.
That's right.
Has no lyrics, but
Pamela's a great song.
Yeah, the one I really like on here was a single, but it wasn't. It's called "Stop Loving You." That's a really good song. Should have been a hit. It's Cheap Trick, Lap of Luxury. We've seen this one. I couldn't agree more. I love this album. Out of This World.
So good.
Yeah. Survivor, Too Hot to Sleep. Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. So again, this has a cart number that puts it in fall of 88, but it didn't come out until early 89. I think it was pushed back for some reason. Gems. Can't go wrong with Gems. Journey Greatest Hits with the hype sticker.
Oh, nice. Is that directly on the cassette?
No, it's on the case, as it should be.
Sorry.
And again, this is one where the chromium dioxide looks good with the cover art.
Yeah.
I listened to this. This is the second time around for this. That I listened to this so much it wore out my Walkman. Like it was music was dropping out. The only one we haven't seen yet, serial number puts it right at this period in 89. But it actually originally came out in 83. It was never released in North America. The debut year.
Oh, nice one.
So I remember being very, very pleasantly surprised when I walked in again to my Sam's, because I knew at this point I'd had Wings of Tomorrow. I had the Final Countdown, Out of This World, and I'd bought a magazine about Europe that come out. So I knew they had a first album.
Right.
Now, the first album, when it first came out, had a band photo on them. But I walked in and I saw this just jumped right out at me. I love this album cover. And I think a lot of people were confused. I remember the very first book that Martin Popoff did with his album reviews, it almost looked as if he didn't realize this was their first album, because he talked about what an improvement it was, because he didn't like, he wouldn't like the
No,
Out of This World at all, right?
no.
And he was talking about how this is Teutonic metal, and it is. This is way heavier than you'd ever think it might be, right?
So did the first two Europe albums not get issued in Canada until later?
I don't think so. Wings of Tomorrow got issued in the States, but I've never seen a Canadian issue of it.
Yeah, so that's why we all thought Final Countdown was their debut.
That's right. Yeah, and that's what the cassette looks like, and doesn't have lyrics, but it's got band photos. Like, they were kids. They were all like 20,
so
21.
young.
And then the song titles. And then the very last one I have is one that Chris has already shown, Survivor's Greatest Hits.
Go.
So there you go. That's our chromium dioxide odyssey there for you. After that, CBS started putting them out, and they didn't. I'm sure they probably still used some sort of noise reduction, but it wasn't advertised as such.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you started to see. Actually, there is a period. I'm trying to pinpoint when it was, where it wasn't CBS Records Canada anymore. It was CBS Music Products.
Oh,
So that became a thing. But then, so that's 89, 90, 91. By the time 91 or maybe even 90 rolls around, it wasn't CBS anymore. It was Sony.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's when that finally, that was a long time coming, but that's when it finally started to. And actually, I do remember, I don't think it's on this one, but I'm pretty sure I remembered seeing a version of Aerosmith Rocks that looks something like this, but the back of it said Sony Music Entertainment, not CBS.
Oh, okay.
So there was, again, the transitional thing, right? So
Absolutely.
there you go. Great variety. I really enjoyed seeing what we all had. And if you have only watched this one, go back and watch our one on the CBS Yellow cassettes. You get to see where this came from.
Absolutely.
We're going to be doing more of these series on these really unique looking cassette designs, because where cassettes were so much smaller, anytime that there was a variant, it was really, really obvious.
Exactly.
So we'll be doing some more of these. Thanks, Chris and Jex, for sitting in with me. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one out there. And thank you for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.